Yep.
All right.
It's off.
Okay. There's a fire burning within me. And whether or not you feel that fire within you right now, the needed elements exist within each of us to incite a powerful flame. It is our duty to wield the embers in our hands and have it ignite the passion for the work that we do. And honestly, some days, it feels like I'm grasping at smoke, right? Where I can barely grab or catch a wisp. So, what does it mean? It means that we have everything we need to set a fire within the people, in the communities, with the potential to change the world. We just need to figure out the formula to leverage that power. Now, you might start piecing together that I'm a bit of a pyro. I'm completely obsessed with fire. So of course, like any good millennial, I went to the Google to tell me, how do I make fire? The most reliable source told me that the creation of fire is called combustion. And there's a simple equation. You need oxygen, that's the existing environment that absorbs and sustains the fire. You need fuel, that's the added element like wood or lighter fluid. And you need a spark. That's the action that kindles the flame. So I wanted to explore very scientifically how we can create and sustain fire. And according to science, I needed a case study. And for the purposes of this super scientific process, we are going to study Beyonce.
Who else?
Because I'm convinced that you don't just wake up like this. Her fans are the oxygen. They create the environment in which her fire can be absorbed and sustained. Music is the fuel, the element that's added to that environment. And the spark is the action, the delivery of her message through her lyrics and performance. That's fire. So the resulting fire that she emits, in turn, is a sense of empowerment, confidence. Not unlike what I'm trying to do for 5,000 teens in New York City from my tiny cubicle on the Upper West Side. Right? But what does my equation look like? I can tell you right now that it's not money that fuels this fire, because that's as unsustainable as fossil fuels. I have to dig a little deeper. When have I felt the fire? Okay, so I don't have to dig all that deep. I work with teens, right? One of the most rewarding and soul-crushing jobs there is to do at the Y. So I want to tell you about two teens who have ignited a fire within me in two different points of my career. Back when I was a teen director in the Bronx, I had the distinct honor of working with some amazing youth and watched them develop over the course of 5 years. This young person right here, she started out in my youth and government program as a painfully shy 8th grader. Her family life was always in turmoil, being shuttled from crowded apartment to crowded apartment, barely maintaining her GPA as her commute to school got longer and longer. Her mother would sometimes call me in the middle of the night in tears, asking if I could make sure that Tanaja never lets go of her dreams. And since then, Tanaja has been on city and state leadership teams, went to South Africa on the Global Teens program, volunteered with every department and community organization in the area, served as the teen representative on the Association Board of Managers, and she's had a tremendous impact on the peers and adults whom she comes in contact with. And so right now, she's a stellar student at SUNY Oswego as the first in her family to ever attend college. really proud of Tanaja and all of the amazing teams who worked hard to achieve their goals. So let's put it in the equation. Youth in government was the oxygen, opportunity was the fuel, and Tanaja's actions was the spark that set a fire in me, in Tanaja, and those who bore witness to her impact. So 2 years ago, when I started working at the association office, I wondered if I would ever have the opportunity to be so involved in a young person's life again. I wondered if I would ever feel and share that fire again. It can be really easy to lose your way when you're not embedded and grounded in the work of front lines. And then I met Z. Z is a self-described filmmaker, artist, singer, and dragon. Z participates in all of our Y programs and also happens to be gender neutral and uses they and them pronouns. In a society, particularly in youth programs, we like to work in binaries. A lot of spaces can feel daunting, unwelcoming, and even unsafe. As a youth development professional, we know that this is our biggest challenge. How can our young people grow and thrive and have fun and flourish into thoughtful, kind, civically engaged adults if they are struggling just to feel safe? Now, Z is not the first trans person that I've ever encountered at the Y, not in the least, but they are the first person to write something other than male or female on one of my rally applications for Leaders Club. Z and the rest of their peers at our Gay Straight Alliance YMCA program, as well as a few staff, hit me with the "where should I sleep?" And if you've ever planned an overnight trip with teens, worked with Excels, piles of registrations, you know that it can be a nightmare just to put people in bunks already. So with this important awareness, I started to really think critically about our policies, our registration forms, our housing options, and with the rally a few days away, there was great urgency. I met with the staff, and I met with the teens, and we brainstormed options, and eventually, very simply, we just asked what they wanted. Our thoughtfulness and effort paid off, so I'd like to read Z's testimony after the event. At Fall Rally, me and my friends got to experience gender queer housing, and it was amazing. I myself identify as gender neutral using they, them pronouns. Whenever I'm at home in Brooklyn, I always get misgendered, and my identity is not respected or acknowledged. When I got to live, for at least a weekend, in a place where I could go to bed, wake up, and people would accept me and my pronouns was amazing. I finally had a home of some sort where who I am is accepted, and I got to be around others who were just like me. It was, in my opinion, one of the best and most freeing experiences of my life. So Z and their amazing peers were the oxygen that was ready to absorb and sustain the fire. The need to provide inclusive housing was the fuel that inspired us to think just a little bit differently. And the act of working together to create safe and affirming places for young people, that was a spark necessary to light the fire within me and my colleagues, and remind me of the power of that fire, no matter what my role is at the Y. So, let's think about your equation. Who are the people and communities around you waiting to absorb the fire? What is the fuel that needs to be added? And what is the action necessary to spark that fire? Because every morning that we, as Y professionals, wake up and go to work is an intentional act to serve our communities. Where else but in this field and organization can we say that we are working to address the most pressing issues of our time? We are creating more inclusive and affirming spaces for all, regardless of gender, of race, class, age, the most dividing issues of today's world. We must be the catalyst for change, as long as we can responsibly wield that fire. This is my call to action. We must identify our fuel, because our communities sustain us with oxygen. Bring your spark so that we can set the world ablaze. So, are you ready to get in formation?